Okay, hi everybody. Great to be here this evening. Nice to see you. Before we start, I would just like to make sure that you can hear me. I've got a different mic again today. Let's see if we can get this working properly. So, could you just start by letting me know if you can hear me, please? That would be great if you can. That's fine, Alan. Go ahead, make a cup of tea. That's absolutely no problem at all. Just wait for a few people to let me know if you can hear me. Make sure everything's coming through loud and clear. We tried setting up with a different mic last time, but it didn't quite work. So we're giving it another shot today. I'm going to give apologies if you can hear some noises above. That will be my children. They've just gone to bed. They are charging around like mad things on the floor above me. So you may hear them running around a bit. So I do apologize for that if that is the case. So if anyone could just leave me a quick comment in the message box, letting me know, that'd be great. Paul, thank you very much. Wonderful. Pleased to hear we got this working. I've spent most of today trying to get the internet working. We've got a new mesh Wi-Fi network system, and the number one rule is don't change your Wi-Fi network. Anyway, we went ahead and changed it, and it just kept dropping out. So I think I spent about 6 hours today just trying to get the Wi-Fi working, the internet back up. And while we've been doing that, we've been doing bug fixes and updates for the Race Advisor software. I've been working with the developers from my phone while trying to get the internet up and running back again. Anyway, touch wood, we have it running again. However, if for any reason it drops out during this Facebook Live, please just hold on. The screen will go black. If the screen goes black, it means the Wi-Fi's dropped out for some reason. If that happens, please just hold on a couple of minutes because I have my phone right next to me. I will connect back onto it through my phone. So I'll be back about 60 seconds later if that happens. So please don't worry if that happens. Okay, so this evening we're going to be looking at Betfair. We're going to go into it and we're going to find out, have a kind of a quick look around. I've had a lot of people asking me if I could give a tour of Betfair, show how it works, how we can use it. So we're going to do that. If you've got any questions on Betfair, please drop them in as well. And then if there's some time afterwards, and I think there probably will be, we'll jump into any questions you've got on horse racing, any questions you've got on the Race Advisor, and maybe we'll have a sneaky look at a race as well while we're doing it. So that's the plan for this evening. I'll give it a couple more minutes before we dig right in as people are coming in. When you join in, please do say hi, leave a quick comment, let me know you're here. Love to see that comment, make sure that you are here. Hit the thumbs up, smiley face, the hearts as well. Lets me know that you're enjoying what we're doing. If you've got any suggestions for what you'd like to see in future Facebook Lives, please also let me know. As you know, the Race Advisor is focused on how we can make a long-term profit from our betting. How do we analyze horse races to be the most successful that we can be by doing that? How can we be different? How can we find the different angles to the majority of bettors? How can we stand apart from the crowd so that we can create our own strategies and systems for finding winners? So it's about bashing down the myths that are out there. It's about how we can use data to make informed betting decisions. And it's about how we can do that regularly in a repeatable manner so that we have an advantage. So that's kind of what we're all about. So any questions on horse racing, please do drop them in. I know a lot of you here today have been around the Race Advisor for a long time. You know me well. It's lovely to see you joining in. So I'm going to jump over. I've got my Betfair screen just open just here. And as I say, we're going to start just by looking into Betfair and having a bit of a navigate around it. There's been a lot of questions recently about how do we use Betfair? How do I get around it? What's the best way to use it? And that's what we're going to answer today. And then I hope you're going to have some questions. If you've got any questions on Betfair, that's great. If you've got any questions on horse racing, general, anything to do with horse racing, please drop them in. I'll come back and answer them. If you've got any questions on the Race Advisor, of course, drop them in as well. I will answer those too. We're going to cover a lot of ground. Okay, so let's get into Betfair. Here we go. Right, so when you log into Betfair, you're going to see something like this. Now, if you're in a different country, you might have a slightly different layout, but it's going to be roughly like this. And at the top, we've got Exchange and Sportsbook. I'm only going to focus on the Exchange and the Sportsbook. The Sportsbook is like a traditional bookmaker. So let's go there first because that's going to be pretty quick to walk through. The Sportsbook is like a traditional bookmaker, as you can see here. And down the left-hand side, we've got some quicker links to horse racing, which is, again, what we're going to be most interested in. You've got featured coupons as well, like today's horse racing. And generally, I'll start on today's horse racing. And that opens what you would expect to see, which is your horse racing page. You've got up the top here, the next race is coming up, which is the default screen. Today, tomorrow, Wednesday, and then you can find specific horses. You can look at specials, all the stuff that you get from a normal bookmaker. Underneath, we have the next races, which is the default. And by default as well, for me, it's selected to Great Britain and Ireland, but you can choose to go all races instead. Sorry, I don't know whether you can hear that or not, but my dog is just down here, and she's rolling around on her back and snorting. So if you can hear some strange wild animal snorting and scuffling, that'll be BB, who's just down here on her bed next to me, having a bit of a game. Okay. So the sportsbook, Philippe, can you cash out in play and place a bet on the sportsbook? Do you know what? That's actually a very, very good question. And I'm not 100% certain because I almost never use the sportsbook, but we'll find out. Let's have a quick look. So you can see the horses in these races down here, and we can jump into the race, get a better view in the sportsbook by coming in here. Now, the reason I don't use the sportsbook is because I don't really see any point. The odds are not better than the Betfair exchange. So they do have some special markets that you don't get on the Betfair exchange, like in Sure Bet. But we don't really ever want to use this market. This is an awful market anyway. The edge against the better is horrendous. So we don't really want to use that market. So I almost never ever go into Betfair's sportsbook, if I'm totally honest. So my familiarity with it is nowhere near as good as my familiarity with the exchange. You do get some BOG offers here, best offers guaranteed, best odds, I should say, sorry, best odds guaranteed. And the best odds means that if you place your bet, say at 6-1 or 13-2 here, if we place our bet at 13-2, and the horse goes off at a higher SP than 13-2, you will get odds at the higher SP. So that's how BOG offers work across all bookmakers, best odds guaranteed. They're guaranteeing you the best odds between the odds you take and the SP odds as well. So that's how that works. You can obviously watch it live from here. We can see that the horses are parading there, and you can get the previous race results up there too along the back. We got the different markets down here. We got the win market, the place market, the betting without favorite market, match bets, and we can also show form for all the horses or hide form for all the horses. So again, all the very similar features that we have on the exchange as well. The only difference being this is a traditional sports book. The odds are made. There is an overround. And if you're not sure what the difference is between a sports book and a betting exchange, please drop me a comment. But briefly, a sports book is a bookmaker makes the odds. So they assess the chance of a horse winning or what they think the horse's chances of winning. They assess where they think the betting public are going to place their bets. And then they create the odds line for it. And they've usually built in anywhere between 15 and 30% overround. And the overround is the percentage that they will make on top. So, for example, 130%, that would be a 30% overround. What this means is if you added up the 30%, obviously, the chance of one of the horses winning the race can only be 100%. So they have a 30% edge in that market. That's their profit margin. That's the margin they are taking off everybody who bets with them for placing their bets. Now, that 30% isn't equal across all horses. That 30% is spread across the horses to try and reduce their liabilities. So when you hear that a bookmaker is going to make a big loss if one horse wins, that's because they haven't got their liabilities spread correctly, and they've got that 30% margin will be across not all horses, and possibly the favorite isn't included in that. So if the favorite wins, they don't actually make a profit, they might make a loss. However, if the favorite doesn't win, they will make their profit. But what they try to do is they try to get that 30% edge whatever happens in the race, and that's why odds change, because as they see where bettors are betting, they then change their odds to match what's going on to try and balance that 30%, so they make a 30% whatever happens, or it might be 15%. I'm just using 30% here as an example. But so that's how it is, and that's why the market then moves, and that's how a bookmaker works. A betting exchange, on the other hand, a betting exchange pits two bettors against each other, and they just take a cut of the profits from the winner. So they will pit me against you. I think the horse is going to win. You think the horse is going to lose. And as the person who thinks the horses are going to lose, you are prepared to offer odds of 6 to 1. So you're saying, I think this horse is going to lose, and I'm prepared to offer you odds of 6 to 1. If I take that bet, then I am betting with you at odds of 6 to 1. I bet £10. And then my risk is £10. I will win £60 profit if the horse wins. Your risk is £60 because you have to pay me the £60 if the horse wins, and you're set to make £10. So I hope that makes sense. But if it doesn't quite make sense, let me know. I'll run through it again when we're actually on the Betfair Exchange screen, and that should clear it all up quite a lot. Alan's just said that he's never tried trading out in play on the bookmaker, but you can lay in play, so he would expect that we can. So the chances are there that we can, but we've got this race going off in a couple of minutes. So we'll just hold here for a moment so that we can actually see what goes on. And I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll actually just drop a £5 bet on Glen-esque here so we can actually see if we can trade out. So you see here, when we place that bet, it just goes in as normal, as you would with a normal bookmaker. £5 at fixed odds of 5 to 2. It's immediately matched. And there we go. We've got trending bets because they're obviously trying to get us to bet on more things as well. You want to stay away from these things. You want to stay away from anything that they're trying to get you to bet on. Trending bets. You don't want to be just placing bets on horses that are popular or bets that are popular. That is not the way to bet. You only place the bets on the selections that you have specifically chosen and know. So stay away from anything that it pops up like trending bets, popular bets, biggest market movers, all that stuff. Unless there's another reason, stay away from it. They're just trying to get you to place another bet. Okay, so I'm going to close that out there. And we've got our bet slip here as well. You can see that's currently empty. And now we need to wait for this race to go off, and we'll see if we can trade out. Now, I'm not sure we're going to be able to trade out because you can't lay with a bookmaker, so we'll see. Which is ultimately what I think you want to do, Philippe. Cash out, which means placing a lay bet. So I actually think it's going to be unlikely to be able to do that on the Sportsbook with Betfair because it's a traditional Sportsbook. You can't lay, but we'll double check right now. In the meantime, Liam, could you tell me, let me just drop this up on the screen. Here we go. Could you tell me why you need to mix PR odds with Betfair odds on the Race Advisor, i.e. 65%, 75%, 55% is actually the default mix? Why not just use the raw PR odds and compare it with the exchange odds, as that gives you an estimation of a horse's chance to win, and you can compare directly with the exchange odds? Great question. Okay, so the reason that we mixed Betfair odds. So the default mix of the PR odds and the Betfair odds is 55%. And if you're not familiar with the PR odds on the Race Advisor, the PR odds are our tissue line. They're the odds that we create that we think each horse's chance of winning is. And we have the PR odds, and within that, we have our raw odds. So the raw odds are exactly what we think they are. That's it. This is what we think they should be. The PR odds then merges the raw odds with the Betfair odds to create a combined odds line. And the reason that we create this combined odds line is because we accept that our odds aren't going to be perfect. There's going to be errors in them. There's going to be mistakes in them. There's going to be information that we've missed. So by merging, but we also know that the markets are very accurate, particularly when they get close to race time. They become very, very accurate. So what we can do is we can smooth out the errors and the inaccuracies in our own odds line by merging them with the Betfair market. So we're taking market information as well as our own information to create a merged odds line, a combined odds line that is far more powerful than just the raw odds on its own. And if with that combined odds line we're still looking at value, then that's going to be a much, much better bet. Or much better indication that there is likely to be value in that bet. So the odds are going to be much more accurate at that point. Now, the percentage that we merge, the default by me is 55%. And that's a good setting as a general setting, because we slightly weight towards the market, knowing how accurate the market can be. However, if you are doing it live, I would suggest that if you're placing the bets like a few minutes before the race, you increase that to maybe 65, 75%. Because the markets get so accurate before the race, we can actually afford to take some more of that accuracy out into our own odds line, into that merged odds line, to get a stronger indication of how the horse's chance of winning may actually be and what their true odds may possibly be, and therefore seeing what our value is. I hope that answers the reason why we merged those odds in, Liam. But if you've got any more questions on it, please do let me know. Okay, I jump over. Oh, okay, Philip, I think you actually meant with the exchange, not on the sportsbook. You can definitely trade out on the exchange, Philip. Sorry, I should say Philippe. My apologies. You can definitely trade out on the exchanges. I'll show you how to do that now. I'm pretty sure we're not going to be able to trade out here, Glen-esque, but we'll have a quick look just to make sure. Paul Cornell saying next to in play at the top, it's saying cash out. Oh, we'll just keep an eye on this race here. Hang on, let's refresh the page. No. Oh, once the race goes in play as well, just so you know, we can drop this video down here like this. Now, I'm not going to put too much of this because it will just get blocked. I can see where they're trying a mile again, when we share this on YouTube, it will get blocked because it will show someone else's content. But this is where you find the video. You can see they're going into the stalls now. I'm just going to close that back up. Okay. So I'm just going to wait for this race to take off. And I will show you, Philippe, don't worry, I'll show you where you can trade out on the exchange. So once this race is taken off, I think we've had a bit of a look around the sportsbook now. I think I've shown why I don't really like using it, but we're going to wait for this race to go off, and then we'll jump into the exchange, see how that works. If you'd like me to go over how it works again, how the backing and laying, how the person-to-person market functions, then please do let me know. I'll also show you some basic information on how we can use the weight of money, which is the traditional way of trading. It's quite hard to use that just on its own now, but I'll give you an idea of how that works and how we can see what's going on in the markets as well when we get over there. I'm just waiting for this race to go off so we can see what happens on the sportsbook side of things when a race goes in play. Okay, so I expect this race to go and play any moment. It is a couple of minutes past quarter past, so hopefully that will happen any second now. In the meantime, don't forget, Liam, thank you very much for that question. If you've got any other questions on the Race Advisor, on the software, on the tools, on any of the strategies, please do drop them in. I will come to them. I will answer them all. That's absolutely no problem at all. Anything in general about horse racing, please do drop in. If I can answer it, I will be more than happy to. All right, let's just refresh this page, see if we've gone in play yet. We don't seem to. Just drop the video down, have a quick look again, see where we're at. Oh, there we are. They're off. You see the green marks just come up here in play. And now we've got the in-play market. But as expected, you can't trade out on the sportsbook because it is not an exchange. You can bet in play. We can change. We can place our bets again, and we can see here the odds have now dropped down to 2 to 1. I was at 5 to 2 when I placed that bet, but we can't trade out as expected. Okay, so that's how the sportsbook works. I'm now going to jump over to the exchange, and let's take a look inside the exchange, see what's going on in there. So this is where I tend to reside. This is the place that I tend to stay in. This is the dashboard you come to. Yours will look familiar. The first thing we want to go to is this sports market here. On the left-hand side column, scroll down until we find horse racing today's card. That's my preferred way of finding the races I want to bet on. We open that and it just shows you all the races for the day in time order. So it's nice and simple. And we can see that here's the 8:15 at Kempton. And we can see that went off at 3.34 Glen-esque. And actually, as it happens, I got 5 to 2. So I actually got 3.5. Believe it or not, I actually got slightly higher odds in the sportsbook, which almost never happens when I look at it. But it seems to have happened there. So what we're seeing here is the live in-play market. We can see this is in play here because we've got the little tick over there. And there is a cash out button that will appear here if you want to trade off the in-play market. But we're not sure whether we want to trade off at the moment. And obviously, we've not actually placed a bet in the exchange. So this is very important to know. If you place a bet on the Sportsbook, it doesn't transfer to the exchange. They are two different places to place your bet. They do not transfer from one to the other. When the race is finished, it's going to look like this. It's going to become suspended. It's going to grey out. That means the race has finished. There is no more betting. So let's drop down here to the next race. No, we don't want Delaware in the US. We want Killarney. Okay, they're parading at the moment. They go off in a few minutes. So here's what we've got. First of all, we've got the different markets at the top. And these are win, each way, place. Place market will be the standard place positions in this race. That's 3. We've now got the 2 place market. So if we don't want to bet to 3 places, which is the standard one here, we can bet to 2 places. If we want to bet to more places, we've got the 4 place market. And then we've got AVB. AVB means one horse v another horse. And in this race, it's the Abbey versus Yug. So AVB is literally a race between those 2 horses, and you're betting based on which of those 2 horses you think will win. At the top here, you can see what is going on course, and we can see at the moment that the horses are parading, and we can also see it's a 1 mile 6 furlong handicap. It's a very short summary of the information. Once you've placed the bet, you can watch the race on the live stream. You can listen to it on the radio. We can also open the tote if we want to bet on the tote. You want to do a play spot or something. This is the place to do it on the tote tab. Okay, so we're going to stay on the win market here. If you want to open the rules, you can open the rules for the market and you can see what's going on there. On the right-hand side, we can see that there's just about 49,000 matched on this race. Not a huge amount, but it will start to come in faster now. We've got a few minutes left. We've also got a couple of check boxes. So let's just look at these. Betfair SP. If I hide that, we lose the SP in the middle. I like to see the SP. I like to see, at the moment, what you see is the predicted SP, and you can bet on it to back or to lay by pressing the SP buttons. This is only predicted, but once you've struck an SP bet, you cannot then change that SP bet. Your bet will be matched at whatever the SP is when the race goes off. The time form here will usually drop down at the bottom, but we're not actually getting it for this race. You only get time form on the races where they have time form for the race. Okay, moving in to the race, we've got a little graph. I'll show you what that means in a minute. We've got the standard horse cloth numbers and draw numbers, the colors, horse name, and then underneath we've got jockeys. Then we've got the markets here. Okay, and we got the back market on the left-hand side in blue and the lay market on the right-hand side. Now, what you'll see here is you'll see a little percentage over the top, and that is what we were talking about earlier. That is the overround. So whereas a bookie might have 15 or 30% overround, you can see that these markets just have 2.5%, and actually they can go down to like just 1%, even 0.5%. They get very, very, very tight. There is no overround because the commission is taken from the winner. There isn't a built-in edge for the exchange. On the lay side, you can see it's 97.9 because when we're laying the horses, to get that, it's the same overround, but because we're betting on them to lose, it's going to be less than 100%. Because obviously there is a less than 100% chance means there's a slight edge. A slight advantage there. If it was perfect, both of them would be 100. Okay, I hope that makes sense there. At the bottom, we can see the non-runner. We can see what percentage that's going to affect the other odds, and we can see the time it became a non-runner. Now, obviously, all these odds are moving all the time, and what we've got down here is we've got the current odds. So if we click on that, that's what we're going to have. That's going to be matched immediately because that is what is available. Underneath that, you can see it's £200, £225. This is the amount of money that is sitting there to be matched. So if I click on that, I could place a bet of up to £225. It would get matched instantly. After £225, it would need to drop down here to the next odds level unless more money came in at 6.4. So if I put, say, £300 in, it would soak up all of the money that's waiting to be matched at 6.4, and then it would sit and wait. And the odds would move slightly to try and get a layer to lay at 6.4. And so that's how the market moves. So you see it's now moved up because all that money was taken and now it's moved up to 6.6. And there's quite a big gap here actually between the lay and the back. Normally the lay and the back is quite tight, and that's quite a big gap. Let's move to another race. Let's try this Kempton race. Hopefully the gap won't be so big. Here we go. Yes, this is a better example. You see here 4.9 and 5, 7.4, 7.8. You just usually got one tick. There's actually two ticks there, but usually there's just one tick between the backside and the lay side. And then when all the money on one side is gone, the market moves to try and compensate for it. And then if people start betting again, it will move back. Okay, I'll show you how we can use that information in just a moment. Interesting. Graham, you don't get time form at all. I definitely do get time form. There we go. There's the time form showing. Graham, as you can see, there's definitely some time form stuff on mine, but only on the races that time form are providing it for. So you should see that on yours when you're logged in. Okay. Now, let's just have a look at these. So this is a graph. When we click on that, it opens a graph. Let me just bring that up for you. And this graph shows us where the money has been matched. 4.2, it dropped down to just under 4, and then it's kind of gone all the way up here to over 5.5, and then back down here to just under 5, and back up to 5.5, and it's bounced around a bit, come down to just under 5, and is now sitting at about where are we, 5.2-ish for the game of life. And we can see here the lowest match is 3.8 and the highest match is 5.6. This is really interesting information because on this market we can see 54,000 has been matched. On this selection alone, 13,000 has been matched. So nearly 30% of all the bets have been matched on this horse. Now, why is this interesting? Because that would indicate that the horse's odds should be 3.33, yet they are currently sitting at just over 5. So one of two things is going to happen here. Either the market has to even that out, because either the market has to even out a bit and the odds needs to drop, or the more money will come into the market, but not on this selection. So the ratio will be right. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. So looking at these two pieces of information can be very telling about how a market may move. So remember that if we got a selection that is taking up a higher percentage of the market than its current odds would indicate something has to happen. Either the odds have to drop, or the market has to balance itself out where more money comes into the market, but not on this particular horse. Or vice versa. Of course, it could go the other way as well. If there's only a small percentage and the odds are short, either the odds have to go up or more money has to come in, on a percentage to the market on that particular runner. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Let me know if it's not. On the right-hand side, you can see all of the prices here that have money waiting on them to back, and if we scroll down far enough, to lay. Okay, so you can see down here, there's all this money sitting at these odds to back. So there's 46,000 waiting to back this horse at 1.01. These are the people who are trying to catch the horse when it goes in play. When it drops down to odds of 1.01, these are the people trying to buy money. Okay, these are the people trying to buy money, but this hasn't been matched yet, so it's not included in the figures over here on the left-hand side because it hasn't been matched out. That's just people putting money in, hoping that when it goes to 1.01, we can buy some money under the assumption that actually this horse is now almost certain to win. Odds hit 1.01. Let's buy some money at a 1% return immediately. Don't think that this is risk-free. It's not. Horses can drop to 1.01 and then come back out. It is not risk-free. You do not just buy the money there. There is still risk involved. And I wouldn't suggest just doing that as a strategy long term. So, but that's what's going on there. You can see obviously the different amounts here waiting at the different odds. So let's just scroll down to where we start to see this fourth column here. This is where money has actually been matched. So we can see there's only been a pound match at 3.8. The serious money that's been matched on this horse is kind of between 4.9 here and 5.2. And we can see that straight away. Over 1,000 on all of those, and then it drops underneath. And you can also see there's kind of some other what they call pressure points, kind of sitting around 4.5 here because it drops from 700 to 300, and also the same kind of around 5.4, 5.5, where it suddenly then drops off here. But most of the money's been matched in this odds range of 4.9 to 5.2. And you can see how much money is sitting on either side. And you can actually see there's a lot more sitting down here on the lay side immediately than there is on the back side. So what that means is that there are bettors who want to bet on this horse to win. They are backing the horse to win, but they're not prepared to back it at 5.1, where the back odds currently are, or 5 or 4.9, or any of these. That's too low for them. They're not happy with those odds. So instead, what they've done is they put a bet into the market at, say, 5.5 or 5.4, and that's this money sitting here. But currently, no layer has been prepared to take that bet. So no one's been able to say, actually, yeah, I think that's a fair odds. I will take that money and lay that bet for you. No one's been prepared to do that. So the money just sits here until either someone is prepared to take the bet or the race begins and the bet drops off. Conversely, on the other side, you can see up here, we've got all of the back odds here, and all this money sitting here is layers who are saying, well, actually, I don't want to lay at 5.2. Those odds are too high for me to lay at, but I am prepared to lay at odds of 4. So I'm going to put my £106 here at odds of 4. And currently, there are no backers who have been saying, actually, do you know what? I'm prepared to place a bet on this horse at odds of 4. The backers are saying, at the moment, no, those odds are a little bit too short for me, so I'm not going to take that bet. So the money just sits here until someone is prepared to take the bet. And that's how the market moves. So this money that's sitting here, £92 at odds of 5.1, a layer has said, I'm prepared to lay this horse at odds of 5.1 for £92. When I opened this graph, no one had taken that. No one was prepared to take that bet. However, what would happen is if someone came in to take that bet, then suddenly that money would disappear and all this chart would move up one. It would become pink at 5.1. And now the next amount of money available for layers to take would be the £67 at odds of 5. And that's how the market moves. It could also go the other way, of course. If a backer said, I'm prepared to place a bet of £17 at 5.2 here, that money would disappear and the blue column would move down. And now we're back up to the backing odds would be 5.2 and the lay odds would be 5.3. And that's how the market moves up and down. Okay, I hope that is all clear. Any questions on that? Fire them in, please let me know. So we can actually use that information to see how a market may move. And we can do that simply. Obviously, you can get software that shows you on charts. And this is what traders do. This is what's called weight of money. And effectively, this is what traders still do. They just use more advanced tools now to do it. A number of years ago, when Betfair was early, you could do it just by looking at these figures here, refreshing every second. Now, there's software that's refreshing in the milliseconds, and it's very hard to just do it on this. However, there are still ways that you can trade it. And in fact, Betting Bounty, which is the only product we have on the Race Advisor that's not RA Pro, Betting Bounty run by Eddie Lloyd. We publish on behalf of Eddie Lloyd, takes advantage of these market movements in very specific conditions, but we don't need any special tools for it. We just do it on what we can see with our eyes in the Betfair market by hitting this refresh button. And again, that takes advantage of a very specific odds movement on certain horses that happens when a certain event in horse racing happens. So what we can see here, again, very quickly, is we can see here roughly that there is about 250, somewhere around £330 waiting to be backed. And so this is very roughly how market movement works. There's about £380 here waiting to be backed in these three odds that we can see. And on the lay side, we can see that there's around £420-ish waiting to be laid. So there's more money on the lay side waiting to be laid than on the back side. So we would expect the odds to drop. It will push, this money will get matched first and the odds would move down. And then as more money came in on the back side, so that's layers prepared to lay bets on the backside. As more money comes in there, it would swing back the other way. So that's how that market movement works. That's how we can use the graphs as well, the charts there, to our advantage. Okay, cool. So I hope that all makes sense to everybody. And if you've got any questions on that, please do jump in and let me know. Chris, thank you. I actually haven't had a haircut yet. So for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Chris has just said this, and I'm assuming that it's because of my hair. I actually haven't had a haircut yet. I have been wearing a hat today, which has kind of flattened it down a bit from the live I did the other day when we looked at one of the festivals where my hair was kind of out here. But I do have a haircut booked for Friday. Thank God. So hopefully from Friday onwards, I'm going to look a little bit more respectable and less kind of 70s ponytail. So that's going to be happening on Friday, that haircut, and I'm kind of I am kind of really looking forward to that, I have to say. Anyway, Liam, thank you for letting me know I didn't put that information about the PR odds into that video. I'm always taking notes on our training videos. So if you've ever got something that you don't think is clear in the training or in the finding your way around videos, please do let me know, because I will update the videos. I do update the videos intermittently with new ones, so I'll do that. Liam, so let me just drop this on this question. Great question, thank you. So what I've not quite got my head around is how you can back a horse at 1,000 but only lay it at 1.01. If you're backing at 1,000, who is laying the 1,000? Let me see if I can find an example of this. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to find an example of this. Let me come down here. We're getting out of the races. There's only one more race at 8:55. I don't know if we're going to be able to see an example of this. But I think what you're experiencing there, Liam, is you're experiencing a situation where actually nobody is matching the bets. So basically, people are putting their money in, they're requesting odds, but no one's actually matching them. So in Betfair, you can request odds, like we've just been talking about on the exchange. We can request odds. So the game of life is odds of 5.7 here, but when I click on that to place the bet, I could say, actually, I want to bet on this horse £5 at odds of 1,000. And it's just going to sit there. It's going to wait for somebody to take that bet. But it can sit in the market. Now, you're not going to see that here because the markets are too well formed. Actually, if I refresh the graph page, we might see that sitting there. So here we go. Let me just share this for you. So there's actually someone else who's put it in, but you can see down here there's a stake of £6. So someone else put £1 in at 1,000 on this particular runner, and my £5 is now just sitting there. Now, if there was no other money in the market, that would be showing there as a lay bet. That would be showing actually as a lay bet of for someone to take. So I think that's what you're experiencing. Is you're seeing situations where people have. Let me just cancel that. There we go. We're showing situations where people have requested specific odds, but no one's actually taken it. So the market's just showing what's been requested. Okay, Philippe. Great question. Okay, here we go. Question from Philippe. I've got a good one for you. Okay, here we go. You can Dutch horses on here using the Dutching tool, which I haven't shown yet. Actually, I will show you how to do that in just a second. So you can auto Dutch on Betfair. We haven't actually gone through on the betting exchange how to place a bet, so I'll do that in just a second. You can Dutch horses on here using the Dutching tool, and it will show you the net profit in green, total stake in red. If you try and Dutch the whole card, it will show a loss on all the lines, no green profit. Does this mean that you cannot Dutch an entire race card? That's exactly what it means, Philippe. So what Philippe's talking about, when we place a bet on Betfair, we can choose, it comes up here on the right-hand side, on the exchange, I should say, on the Betfair exchange. It comes up here on the right-hand side, the odds. We can change these odds as we've just shown. So we can put 60 or we can put 6. Then we put our stake in here, say a 5. And that goes in there. But what happens if we want to bet on more than one horse? So let's just say we want to bet on these 3 horses. Again, we put our stake in. Do you know, I get this sometimes where it's you'll see it's running through them all. When I'm doing these Facebook Lives, the software sometimes just plays with the selection a bit. Right, there we go. So we can put our individual stakes in on all of these horses like this if we want to. And down at the bottom, we can see the percentage, back 41%. This is a very useful thing here. You can see that there. Also, we can automatically Dutch on Betfair by clicking on this little stake button just here. So let's say we wanted to Dutch all those horses for £25. So we put that in there. And you can see there, it automatically works out the stake based on the odds. Now, be aware these odds are obviously changing all the time. Every millisecond, these odds are changing on the exchange. So even though you've done it quickly and placed your bet, you may still not get matched immediately. So either be prepared to change those odds or be prepared to accept the SP or whatever goes off. So just be aware that you might not get matched immediately on that, even though you've taken the odds straight away, because the odds are actually changing every few milliseconds, or every millisecond, in fact. Now, so what Philippe's asking is, over here, you can see when we do that Dutch, it tells us that if any of these horses win, we're going to make £35 roughly. And if they don't, we're going to lose about £25, just under. Okay, so what happens if we want to Dutch every single horse in the race? Well, we're going to come up with a number of issues. Let's look at them. So the first thing is we want to Dutch them all, we want to stake £25. Oh, and now it's done that jumping thing, so I'm going to have to cancel them all and re-add them. Bear with me. There we go. Let's put them back in. Okay, so let's come here and we put our stake in. I'm going to do that for 25. Okay, bang. So you'll notice that it only puts the stake in for the first few. And the reason it does that is because the minimum stake on Betfair is £2. So as soon as a horse goes below £2, it won't fill that stake in anymore. So you have to increase this. Now, you're probably going to have to put this at somewhere like £1,000. And I don't think in this test account I have that much. I'm getting this shaking thing. It's not liking with the Facebook Live software. It's not liking having so many horses on the card. You can see it's jumping up and down and changing the odds. So I'm just going to cancel that out before it goes in and places that bet. But if you try and bet on all the horses, it's going to show red. So it's going to show that you're making a loss on every horse. And that is because you cannot Dutch every horse in a race. And that comes back to this 102.4% here. So when you place a back bet, a win bet on a race, even on the exchange, it will always be slightly over 100%. The book, this is called the book. The book percentage will be slightly over 100%. The amount it's over that 100% is called the overround. In this case, it's 102.4%. So the book is 102.4% and the overround is 2.4%. Anything over the 100% is called the overround. And this is called the overround because this is how much you will lose if you bet on every single horse in the race. Because obviously there is only 100% chance that one horse is going to win the race. So the fact that the odds are saying that there is 102 or 103% chance means if you bet on all of them, you will make a loss of whatever that percentage is, 3% at the moment. To make a guaranteed profit, the book would have to be less than 100%. It was never going to be less than 100%. You might get it less than 100% for a few seconds at an odd time in the day, and you might be able to scrape like a 1% margin or a 0.5% margin on it, but you need to be betting to big stakes. Then you might not get your bet matched because the stakes may not be available in that size. So you're never going to be able to do that. So when you're Dutching, you don't want to be looking at that really. You want to be looking at just Dutching the strongest horses in the race and not trying to Dutch every horse in the race. Okay, I hope that clears that question up, Philippe. Anyone else who had that? Awesome. Okay, so this race is about to go off now. I don't think there's much else to look at here on Betfair. I hope that clears kind of everything up. You can also access the markets on the left-hand side column here. We can have a quick look at the tote. We've not looked at that. This is what the tote page looks like. And this is, again, not betting on Betfair. It's betting using your Betfair account and your Betfair wallet and funds, but you're betting into the tote through Betfair. And the way the tote pool works is this is different. The tote pool, you'll see projected odds. So you won't know the odds on the tote until the race goes off. They can move up and down because what happens is all the money goes into a pool. So in the win market, everybody who bets on the tote, all of that money goes into a single pool. The tote will then take out 10%. So let's say £1,000 is bet onto the win market on the tote. And the tote take out 10% for managing it. So they take out £100. Now there is £900 in there. What will then happen is they will figure out on the winning horse how many people bet on that winning horse. And that will determine what the odds will be for that horse. So let's say there's £900 and 10 people bet on the winning horse, and each person will get £90. They split the pool money back and they give it back to the winners. So the money comes in, they take a commission, and then they give back to the winners what's left in that pool. And obviously, depending on how many people bet on the horse, depends on how much you're going to get back, what percentage of it you're going to get back. So that's how the tote works. And you can bet on obviously to win or to place. And you also get exactors and swingers and trifectas in there, as well as, we've missed it for today, but you'd also get place pots and those sorts of exotic bets as well. Okay, so that's how the tote works. Okay, and I think that covers everything now on Betfair, unless anybody's got any other questions. So that's how the Betfair exchange works. That's how you can use it. I haven't showed how you can trade off in play. I apologize. That was a specific question. I'm just going to throw a bet in here quickly. I've not looked at this race. I don't know what the horses are. The same as the last one I did. I've not looked at them at all. I'm just putting them in for an example. So we can see that bet's gone in, and you can see what you get here is the cash out button. And this button, when you press that, it will immediately cash out your bet and even the profit or loss across all runners. So you see, if I hover over it now, it would cash me out, and we would make a kind of a 6 to 10p loss across all runners. And you can see down the side here, at the moment it's a win bet, £21 if this horse wins, £5 if it loses. If I hover over that, you can see now I would lose 6p if the Game of Life ones, or 10p if the others. So that cashes it out automatically in running de-risk. You also have this button here, and this is an auto cash out button. So you can say, if I get to a certain point of profit, I don't know, let's say if I get to a £2 profit, I want to save that auto cash out. So if this horse's odds, which is looking unlikely because it's just shot right up, but if this horse's odds drop to the point where I can make a £2 profit, I want you to automatically cash out. And Betfair will then do that for you automatically, and it will fire it in. You can see now that because the market for the odds on this horse has drifted, is now I'm losing £2.26, £2.30 if I was to cash out on this particular race. So that's how that cash out button works. Obviously, you could also do it yourself by simply opening a lay bet and choosing your odds and putting £5 in. The difference between doing that is if I just put a £5 lay bet in, I would break even on the other horses and make a profit. So that's a risk-free bet. So I would be breaking even on these horses and making a profit if this one won, assuming the odds dropped to the point that I'm laying. What the cash out button will do is it will automatically calculate it for you, so that you get an even loss or profit across all runners, whatever happens. And it looks like this particular favourite is not going to perform in this race. So it's just drifted out and not done anything else. But that's how the cash out button works. You can see when the race goes in play, the tick, the same as the sports, but the tick turns green and it drops in there like that. It looks like Roke and Magica is going to come in here in this particular race. And we never hit that auto cash out. I set it, if you remember, for £2. It's never hit that point, so it's never cashed me out. So we lose the £5 on the winner there, and as a normal back bet. So when you trade in play, you only get that trade if you get the other side of your bet, the lay side of your bet, if you backed first, or the back side of your bet if you laid first. You only get that trade, that risk-free, if you perform both sides of the bet. Otherwise, it's just a single bet into the market. Okay, so I hope that clears that up, Philippe, so you know how to do that. Okay, so Philippe's asked, can you not just cash out one of the selections when you use the Dutching tool? Yes, absolutely. You can just cash out one of the selections if you use a Dutching tool. So if we Dutched all those horses, we could have just cashed out on that one. However, because you've placed bets on all of the horses, it won't be, the numbers may not behave in the way that you think they might. So you won't necessarily make a profit by cashing on all runners just by cashing out on one, because you've staked different amounts of money in your Dutch bet on each of those horses, and it will very much depend on how much has been bet on each of those horses and how much the odds have dropped to determine the likelihood of whether you're going to be able to get a green screen, as they call it, where you make a profit whatever happens or not. So again, I hope that clears that out as well. Superb. Okay, so if anyone's got any more questions, horse racing, Betfair, or the Race Advisor, please do drop them in there. If you've been using the RA Pro software, we are now nearly finished. The verification scripts are still running. They do take a long time. I appreciate that. But there is over about 200 or 300 million pieces of data they have to verify. They are still running. We are still going through that. And I will let you know as soon as that verification has been done. We are ironing out the last few bugs from our massive database upgrade the other week. Thank you so much for everyone who's been posting in the forum. You can see we've been actively going through them as quickly as possible. There's only a few left now. I think two or three, which should be done tonight. And that will finish the end of those bugs that we're aware of. Everything will be back to normal and just the verification scripts to finish running. That means that the next project that we're starting on, so we have, if you're not currently a member of the Race Advisor, please do head over, join RA Pro. When you join up, you get the first 30 days free, so you can find your way around, see if it suits you, see if you like it. Please do come into the community, drop some questions in. The whole focus of the Race Advisor is to use data to make informed betting decisions. I want to help you learn the strategy that you need to be able to make a long-term profit. And the only way we can do that is by pulling back and looking at the big picture and looking at your preferences and looking at your strike rates and looking at your comfort with losing streaks. I'm writing a big article at the moment actually about this. I've just framed a total new concept around losing streaks and how we visualize them and how we use them and how actually we can use them to make a lot of profit. So keep an eye out for that. I'm just writing the first blog post on it, but I'm going to do a lot more. I call it the reverse slide, and there's going to be a lot more on the reverse slide coming up. But what we're looking at here is to reframe the way we think so that we can actually make ourselves sustainable bettors, so that we can become profitable long term, and we change the way we look at horse racing completely, and we use data to make informed decisions. But inside the software, we have this in development page here where you can vote on the next features that you want to see. By far, the most popular one at the moment is the system builder. We have, as you'll know if you're an RA Pro member, if you're not, we have probably the most factors available in horse racing, certainly in the UK and Ireland, probably anywhere in the world. We have hundreds of factors because we want to be able to look at a horse from all sorts of different angles, because there's not just one angle for a horse. We can look at form from lots of ways. We could look at form from collateral form, who's it raced against. We could look at form from how's it performed in its past races, in terms of distance to winner. We can look at it in terms of money. There's so many ways we can look at a horse, and we can find different angles, and we can find profit in different angles by looking at it in different ways. So if you've not yet voted on the features that you would like to see up and coming in the Race Advisor, please do come to your in development page. If you've not registered yet, head over to raceadvisor.co.uk and register and come and vote. And these are the more votes a particular tool gets, the faster it will move up the list. We have primary feature development. System builders by far the best, the most popular at the moment. And then underneath, we've got secondary feature developments. These are slightly smaller updates and upgrades to current existing tools. So that's the difference. The primary ones are major new features. The secondary features are upgrades to existing tools. So the system builders net, we've already got a group of beta testers who I will be contacting very shortly to run through how we're planning on getting the system builder to work, because it works. It's going to work in a completely different way to anything that is currently out there. It's going to be far more dynamic. It's going to be far easier to dig into the data and to find strategies that work for you. So I'm going to be running through that with, if you're in the beta group, please do keep an eye out. I'll be contacting you in the next week or two about that, to jump into a private Zoom group with me, where I'm going to show you the plan. I'm just going to kind of show you some diagrams, what we're planning on doing, get your feedback on it, and then we're going to start developing that. I'm super excited about that. It's going to be absolutely awesome. So if you haven't voted on that, please do come and vote on that. In the meantime, the community is always available. Please do drop in there, ask questions, suggest features, come chat to me, come and chat to the other guys and girls in there. It's wonderful. It's building beautifully at the community. It's so nice to see you all in there and joining me today. Okay, I'm going to take these last few questions, and then, so if you've got another one, please do drop it in now, because once I've gone through these, I'm going to finish this live for today. Okay, so Alan has said that in some races the cash out is dropped, especially in a late withdrawal, but in other races the cash out disappears at the start. Why does the latter happen? So some races, Alan, there isn't in running markets. So it's all to do with how Betfair manage their markets. They just don't put the same features in every single market. I actually don't know the reason why. I can only assume it's because the markets aren't big enough, or they don't think the markets are going to be big enough to make it worthwhile. Because believe it or not, when you see this go in play, the way this works on Bet, at least as far as I'm aware, it was certainly this way a few years ago. I can only assume it's the same now. But when you see a market go in play, that is somebody, or as I say, it used to be somebody at Betfair hitting a button on a computer. So there's someone there watching the SIS feeds saying this race is about to go in play, and I've hit the button, and now the market's gone in play. And it's nothing more complicated than that. There's no automatic system that knows when the gates have opened at the course, then the horses are running. It's someone watching a screen. That's why sometimes you'll see it look like it's suspended to go in play, and then it comes back because someone's got it wrong. So, as I say, it was like that a few years ago. I assume it's the same now because I don't think feasibly there's really another way for them to do it. So that's kind of why that will happen and why they have different features, certainly when it comes to cashing out and in-play markets in different races. Philippe's had the last two winners. Well done, Philippe. And he's also, Philippe, you need to start looking into French racing. I've got to be honest, at the moment, French racing isn't going to be something I'm going to be looking into. However, we are hoping that next year we'll be able to bring US racing into the Race Advisor. That is our aim. I don't have a date for it yet, but we are hoping to be able to start bringing international racing in next year, starting with the US. But I don't have any more information on that yet. It is in the development plan. It is in the schedule. But I will give you more updates on that closer to the time as and when we can do it. Okay, I don't think there are any more questions. So thank you so much for joining me this evening. I love holding these Facebook Lives. It's great to have you here. Please do hit the share button on this video when it's finished. If you know other people who would like it, hit the like button if you haven't done it. Let me know that you do like it. If you're watching this after the live and you've got a question, leave the comment. Please do leave the comment below. I'll come back. We do answer them. I go in, I check them all, I answer them. So please do come back. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been wonderful. If you would like to see anything specific on another Facebook Live, just drop me a message. You can drop me a message on Facebook. You can drop it through our support desk on the Race Advisor in the community forums, or you can drop it through my personal Instagram page or my personal Facebook page as well. If you want to get in touch, just drop that message wherever you would like. I will come back. We can add it. If you want to see something in particular Facebook Live, I create a list of all requests and we go through them. So please do that. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful Monday evening, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next Facebook Live. If you're an RA Pro member, please keep an eye out. In a couple of weeks, we're going to be doing another private group session on Zoom. We're going to go through another strategy, and we're going to do that. That's just for RA Pro members. So if you're an RA Pro member, keep a lookout for that. That'll be in probably 2 weeks' time. I think that's coming up. So keep an eye out. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you very much, and good night.